we talk about it with our teams as well, but do we always see it that clear and objective? So just such an awesome way to help your team grow. So thanks for sharing that. Last but not least, we will have B from Expanding Potentials is going to talk about building a staff training, mentorship culture, and client profiles. I thank you so much for being here, B. I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit today, so I'm going to try to get through this. I wanted to talk today. There's been so many great presentations and ideas so far this morning about how to use the data within Hi Rasmus. I actually want to talk about the flexibility of the platform, not just creating our fidelity checks, but as we continue to grow, we have opportunities to collaborate with agencies, with different specialists, with uh, other potential stakeholders that also are in part with care to beneficiaries we serve or facilities that we serve. So I want to talk about how we can use the flexibility of the Hi Rasmus platform to do that so that we can have better communication and continue to grow as a profession. Right. My name is B. Corrine Gray. B stands for Brandy. It's hard for a lot of kids to see. My signature line on my email is how people started calling me B. Everyone calls me B. It's totally fine. I started Expanding Potentials in 2010, and I focus on neurodiverse-affirming care for specifically complex needs individuals across the lifespan for direct and consultative services outside of DC. I do consulting with other small practices now, as well as provide internship programs for interns who are studying behavior analysis in local universities. I provide public speaking on trauma assumed care, and most recently, I became a reflective supervisor. So I work on providing reflective supervision to people so that we can decrease staff burnout and work on parallel processing for how we provide services. Today, I want to walk through how we can create staff profiles for agencies, create client profiles for agencies, edit those permissions and notifications. Um, I don't know that we'll have time to get into programming and tracking, but then creating that consulting notes so that we can really have avenues for being accountable with our intervention changes, especially when there are so many people in place that we really need to be able to track all of the parts that are moving. If you're looking at how this relates to our task list, for I2 and I5, we have to look at how we apply and establish supervisory relationships, those teaching and collaborative relationships with clear expectations. We have to look at how we're practicing, we're modeling communication, we're modeling feedback, we're providing feedback, we're giving reinforcement, and we're decreasing response effort for other agencies that are working with us and other stakeholders. Now, here's my caveat and full disclosure. I do not have enough time today to walk you through every step to do this. But my hope is that I can show you how the platform can be used so it will give you great ideas and in ways that you may not have thought about to use the platform in the future. Okay, we'll start with setting up roles. Some things that you may not be aware of is when you log in, you can go through your left-hand side, you'll go down to your settings, you'll look at your user privileges, and you'll start with an array of user privileges across the top. You have your manager, your supervisor, your behavior analyst, your behavior technician. Those are going to be your base roles. But under that, you have an add a privileged role. You can select any base role. So say you need to add the CEO for an agency that you're collaborating with, and they really do need more privileges to start. So you would start with a base role of supervisor, which is why that is circled. And then your role label would be their title. When they're logging into the system, they're signing any notes, you're tracking their engagement with Hi Rasmus. You can then open up every permission. And that CEO doesn't really need to have the ability to edit programs. So I can uncheck that box. But I do need them to be able to review all files, to add files, to take away files if they've added something incorrectly or there's an error with the upload. So from there, you need to tailor the permissions for all of your staff. That's if you're using it for an agency that you're collaborating and consulting with. I also provide care through state funding. So, like, I'm looking at home health staff that I come in and train, home-based nursing staff that I come in and train. So, I might do programming checks for fidelity on different programming that we've set up through that state agency for authorized care, but the staff are logging in and they may have their permissions set up as a behavior technician as their base role, but then it's changed because I really don't need them tracking their progress if I'm looking at their fidelity checks and the stakeholder that should be responsible for looking at the progress is the beneficiary's parent or the case manager through the state agency. So you can toggle that on and off as you like. I'm then going to go in and instead of adding a client as a beneficiary or a patient, um, a specific person, I can add the agency. And when you add a client, I have some things blocked out for confidentiality, but consider splitting the name of the agency. So, for example, if you have Test Consulting, ABC Consulting, for your first name, you'd put ABC, for your last name, you'd put Consulting. And then right under that, you have preferred name, put the whole thing. And that's how it'll show up in your list of clients. So, very easy to add. You don't have to go through and add all of the things, but because Hi Rasmus has the ability that you add and edit what client information you have on your profile when you're opening up, you can edit those lists of what's important to know for that agency. Like, who are your points of contact for different types of work? So we have our role set up, we have our client and agency set up. Now, if you look in, you'll have this toolbar across the top of your client. You need to set up your access. This is when we invite agency users with the roles that we set up. So you should have, if you click on access, you have email. You're going to put your point of contact's email down. And this is when all of those user roles that we created will populate and it'll connect in the system so that they only have those permissions that you've already established. And then we'll invite the user. And when they log in, they will have access to all of the things that we've set up for them based on the type of relationship that we have outlined in our contracts. The last thing, because I think we are getting close to time, is it's really important for us to establish that effective communication. And Hi Rasmus has it set up so that we actually can go in and tailor our session notes. We can start creating, if we go through our menu, we go through our settings, our templates and notes, we can create new notes to track things that align with our collaboration goals, our agency goals, our shared values, and any intervention goals that we have established, why we're actually collaborating with these groups. Just as an example, I do have up here, we have a combination of tables where you would close out the session and then you can edit the table. And we have smart tags or custom fields. So you can add, for example, if your custom field for here, I have like consulting provision 3 is the name of that custom field. It is a checkbox. So it will automatically put in anything that I click, and you can allow for multiple selection activity or multiple selections for this part of the note. So I'm writing for this agency, am I providing direct clinical services to them at this time? Am I working on their learning systems with them, or am I creating systems for them? This is just an example of how you can use a smart field. I also have, because I do use AI when I'm meeting with agencies virtually, it allows me to be more present in the moment. I can spend more time jotting notes and actually engaging with the people and helping to troubleshoot. And I can rely on AI to provide a transcription. However, AI misses things. It is really important. It misses things. It also misses if you have multiple speakers because it struggles to connect who's talking at what time. and it can miss things with dialect. So it's really important that we review that for not only accuracy, but cohesion to make sure that what happened is what's reflected in our notes. And then if you are doing any sort of recording and you have permissions to do that with the agencies that you're working with, you can also add in a smart field that it will allow you to drop in a link to your recording. So that's what I have for today. Um, Thank you so much for everyone being here. I really do agree with this one quote. When one of us shines, all of us shine. So the more we continue to build up this field, the more that we get excited about spreading this knowledge, um, the more we are just building up the strength and abilities of everyone around us. Thank you very much.